Hey everybody, welcome back to Rudo Radio. It's a weekly wrestling podcast from SB Nation Cage Side Seats. I'm Bill Hanstock, and with me as always is Mark Norman doing. How's it going, Mark?
Oh, pretty well.
Mark's under the weather, so he might be a little sluggish today.
Apologies if I sound weirder than usual.
No, you sound fine. Everything's fine. Everything's great.
Well, that's encouraging.
Yeah. So good news, Mark. Bray Wyatt's injured now.
I was kind of hoping that, if I didn't read up on any of that when I saw that over the weekend, it's no, if I just ignore it, he'll totally show up on Raw on Monday and everything will be fine.
That's not true.
Well, it was the only idea I had.
He has some sort of leg or knee or calf injury. They haven't disclosed exactly what it is. There's also no news on the severity of the injury or how long he'll be out. It happened on the very first evening of the WWE European Tour in Milan in the opening moments of his match against Roman Reigns. He sort of collapsed, couldn't support himself on the weight of that leg, then was helped to the back. No news on what it is, how long he's expected to be out, but they are planning on keeping the other two healthy members, the only two healthy members of the Wyatt family at this point, Eric Rowan and Braun Strowman. They're keeping them off television until Bray can come back. So that's all four members of the Wyatt family out, two with injuries, two because they're the two that people don't really care about. Of course, the timing, perfect. Right after Bray was in the main event and had a quasi face turn and showed everyone what a face Bray Wyatt can look like. That's the moment he gets injured.
That stuff happens so often. I feel like Tyson Kidd's injury happened at the exact, not that it's the same injury or anything, but that happened at just the moment where Cesaro and Kidd were really taking off as a tag team. And they finally had figured out what they wanted to do with them.
Right. And then Rollins' injury happened right before he was supposed to drop the belt to Reigns, and Cesaro's injury happened right when it looked like he was on the cusp of something bigger. Lots of injuries happening at very inopportune times. So that's the bummer news of the week. The good news of the week is Raw happened from London, and the fun stuff is that we're getting a lot of Bullet Club intrigue.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in myself for not thinking of the angle that they were, the one they're going with, before they even did it. Because, it makes sense when you step back. Cause all last week it was kind of well, they're just attacking the Usos because, they're a notable tag team and they're just trying to, get over his heels right away, or, what's going on here. But, hey, it looks like there's some planning here where we're not sure if AJ Styles is orchestrating attacks against Roman Reigns and friends, or if it's just kind of the Bullet Club or whatever they are here, kind of doing what they want to do, what they think they should be doing for their old buddy AJ.
So you think that they're going into business for themselves and trying to help AJ out?
That feels like it, if only because, Styles has been so over as a face, and it doesn't really make sense to turn him against Reigns when they're so clearly making this Reigns was saying some face stuff on Monday, but a lot of it was kind of heelish, just brushing people off, and that's what, he's kind of been there, just kind of straddling the line as this badass. And Styles has been more, the clear face, so it feels weird if he's actually been working with them all along, to take out Reigns, take out the Usos, etc. And I think it would set up a good story, because, Styles probably isn't winning the title at Payback. But if he loses the title because, he reacts to his buddies who now we have in kayfabe he helped bring on board into WWE, and then, they have a program against each other following Payback. There's a lot of interesting places you can go with that. More interesting than just haha, I lied to you, even though you didn't believe me at all, and none of that matters.
See, I'm kind of hoping that they do form a faction with AJ, if only because that opens up the possibility of like 3 or 6 months from now, Finn coming up and being like, "Hey, this is my group, and I want it back."
Yeah, I thought about that too. But I don't know. I mean, that would also be cool. It just feels like in this moment, what makes sense is Styles staying a face, the Bullet Club or whatever being heels, and them going, being at each other's throats. And maybe Finn will come up earlier, because they'll go back to their original boss.
Mm-hmm.
Since the one who helped them get here in the first place isn't having it, and then we can have some Styles versus a Finnified Bullet Club.
There's just a lot of directions you can go, and they're all pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it seems like a fairly like win-win situation. Like, it seems like one of those few situations where it would be hard to mess up this one.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like regardless of what direction they're taking, WWE is building up the Bullet Club like from the ground up instead of just being like, "Hey guys, the Bullet Club is here." So whatever they're going to call them after, like it just feels like a kind of a fresh start for everyone. Like, these guys have an association. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and Alfie Crow of Big Cat Country on SB Nation, our Jaguars blog, had a really fun idea that he sent to me. He wants there to be a faction of Bulletproof consisting of Finn Balor, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and Eva Marie. And obviously I'm in favor of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that would be great. I think more factions need to be mixing in ladies, and Eva Marie is so perfect as a heel for that group.
Yeah, just great, just such a heat magnet, like, and also just everyone would be so upset that this amazing internet beloved hardcore fan faction gets the addition of the person that they hate the most.
It'd be a good way to counter, if Anderson and Gallows attack Reigns during Payback, it's just going to get cheers. Even if they just attack Styles right before it or something.
Yeah.
So this would be a good way to balance it out and make sure that there's always something for fans to focus on that they would want to boo.
Yeah. So with Bullet Club lurking and with AJ being mega popular right now, do you feel like there's any chance in hell that AJ Styles wins the title at Payback?
No, I don't. I mean, there's always a chance, but I just don't see Reigns dropping it that quick and not to Styles. As I had said before, I feel like the program here is Gallows and Anderson try to help Styles win the title, and Styles rejects their help at Payback. So then they turn on their friend, for rejecting them and embarrassing them and all that happy stuff.
Yeah.
Which is a whole different story from the championship. So this feels more like something that's just Reigns does this and it sets up another story, and then Reigns gets his next challenger for the following pay-per-view.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also if Gallows and Anderson attack Styles and turn on him, that potentially makes people less upset about Styles not winning the title in a straight up singles match against Roman Reigns.
Yeah, it gives them an out. And what's the special after that? Is it Extreme Rules still, or if they move the schedule around?
I think it might be. All I know is it's 3 weeks until the next one, because this one happens on May 1st, and then the next one happens on May 22nd. So it's
it's close together.
Yeah. So it's just 3 weeks, and that's we'll get to the next thing. It is Extreme Rules that's coming up on the 22nd. Okay. So yeah, just 3 weeks between pay-per-views, which they bunch them up sometimes like this on the schedule. The next thing I want to talk about, Apollo Crews, he never really got any stories in NXT. It was just like a lot of weeks of him just winning. And then finally, like, he challenged for Finn's title and then lost. And then got a non-title match and he lost that. And then he had like a very short, like 3-week, 2-week thing with Elias Sampson. And now he's doing the same thing. He's won like for 2 weeks. And then last night they sort of gave him a story, but it was a 1-week story. It was, hey, you have to join the Social Outcasts. And he says, I'll join if you can beat me. And then he beats them. And then he's like, if he said in the little package when they're in the locker room, he said, like, if I beat you, you have to leave me alone. And they're like, okay. So he just got like a 1-week story. So it seems like they love the guy a lot. And they're super high on his like potential and his ability. But they just seem super reluctant to actually give him any stories. And I don't know if it's like they're scared to give him stories because they don't know how people will react to him being in stories, or if they just don't know how to handle it. But it just seems weird that, and maybe it's just part of the function of the character, because his character is basically like everything comes easy to him and he's happy to be here. So I don't know what it is. Like, you understand what I'm talking about, right? Like, he doesn't get any stories.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to figure out what we know about Apollo Crews, the character, on Monday night. And pretty much it comes down to he likes smiling.
Mm-hmm.
He loves his family. Loves his
smiling.
family.
Yeah.
Family is big. And he doesn't like the social outcasts. That's like now 1/3 of his character is doesn't like the social outcasts. I don't know. That's not enough. And they really need to just work on that. I think it's probably kind of hard to put him in a story when we still don't know who he is, besides guy who puts on like 1 or 2 types of matches really well.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's partly a function of his character, where it's like he doesn't really have a character or a gimmick, so it's like, what do you do with that?
Yeah, and I thought at NXT when he started to lose, because Corbin beat him, right?
Yes,
and that was kind of a surprise, because everyone assumed that was like there for Crews to go over Corbin, and it seemed like that was going to be the start of like, oh, maybe everything doesn't come easily to Apollo Crews, and we'll see a change in his character, but it didn't. So yeah, I don't know if it's reluctance or if he's just got so much visible talent that they feel comfortable letting him develop more in WWE slowly. Mm-hmm. Than in NXT, because they know he can already put on like a WWE style match, so might as well get him going now. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really connecting with him, which is a shame, because he is one of the wrestlers I want to connect with, because he can be exciting in the ring. But I need more than just like, oh, that was a fun 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's sort of an example of like why you can love a guy on the indies and that doesn't necessarily translate if there's not a compelling character behind it. Like, yeah. We all loved Uhaa.
It's hard at 10:30.
Yeah, we all loved Uhaa Nation, but it's like if you just put Uhaa Nation in WWE and don't give him like indie work rate matches where he's just like going, 15 minutes with someone and doing just crazy stuff in a wild match, like, there's not, like, what do you do with him,
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't feel like I've seen a match with him in it yet where it's like, oh, that was really good. It's like, oh, that was good. It's like, even the Finn Balor matches he had, I was just like, those are good.
Well, my favorite match that I've seen from Apollo Crews in WWE or NXT is coming up this week on NXT. He's going to wrestle Samoa Joe. So I'm excited for everyone to see that match.
Oh, good. Okay, so I'm looking forward to that.
It's extremely good.
Yeah, maybe we'll start to see more of Crews the character, Crews the wrestler, and it'll all come together. But I'm going to be patient with him. I'm not enthralled by him just yet. He's a weird case of like, I was more excited about him when he got to WWE than him actually being here so far, which is not usually how it goes with the signings they have.
Yeah. Speaking of people that we like in NXT, the tag team tournament, which we maybe didn't really expect, is coming down to an all NXT tag team tournament. It's going to be at Payback, which I think is smart. They're doing the finals of the number one contender tag team tournament at Payback, and I think we all sort of assumed that the title match would happen on Payback, but this makes a ton of sense because you get to showcase Vaudevillains versus Enzo and Cass. You get to showcase that on the pay-per-view. Plus, you get to have it be whoever wins the match. You now get to have a 3-week build between them and the New Day, and then whoever doesn't win that match, you get a 3-week build of them and whoever that they're going to go up against. So I think this is really, really smart. Instead of just like, say the Vaudevillains were to win the finals like on next week's Raw, and then the following week wrestle New Day for the championship, like that doesn't do anyone any favors, because it's just like you have like the matter of like an hour for New Day to be like, these guys suck, boo, I hate them, like, and then they wrestle without really anyone understanding what either side is doing, as opposed to like you have 3 weeks of either New Day just like belittling the Vaudevillains, or you have 3 weeks of the New Day going back and forth with Enzo and Cass, which would be incredible.
I still don't know who's going to win. Like even the number one contenders match. Never mind the title.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know what they're going to do over the next few weeks. Like now we know who's in the number one contenders match. So like what's going to happen in the tag division with those two teams that they're showcasing leading up to it. But I guess there's plenty of promo time for them to, they just put a microphone in front of Enzo and it should solve itself.
Yeah, you could do like a Enzo versus Aiden English singles match, or you could do whatever. But yeah, you have Enzo and Cass running down the Vaudevillains, and maybe you finally get the Vaudevillains some mic time. Maybe they'll both get some tune-up matches so we can get to know the teams a little bit more. But I think that there's a chance that at Payback, the Dudley Boys might cost Enzo and Cass the match, and we might build finally to that Enzo and Cass versus Dudley's like pay-per-view match at Extreme Rules, which would make sense because you could give them like a tables match against each other or something like that.
Always with the tables matches, Dudley's. Always with the tables matches.
Well, it's Extreme Rules, so maybe we'll get maybe the tag match will be like a ladder match or something.
Yeah, that would be good. I feel like the straight tables match is not high stakes enough for
or
what
you
they
could
do.
You could like lean into the Vaudevillains being like anachronistic and goofy and do like a tied to the railroad tracks match or something. I think that would be pretty fun.
I think you're right, though, that the Vaudevillains win even if they don't win, because the Dudleys are going to come back and take revenge on Enzo and Cass for defeating them, which I'm fine with. As much as I'd love Enzo and Cass to have a chance to win the tag titles, and as much as I want to see them paired against New Day, they've already got this feud brewing with the Dudleys, and I've enjoyed where it's gone to this point, so might as well see it through.
Yeah. The thing Vaudevillains aren't really getting much of a reaction from people, which, isn't really their fault because they haven't really gotten any, they didn't get any vignettes to explain who they are. They haven't gotten any mic time on either show. But I think their biggest problem is that they have a cool entrance, like the actual entrance part of their entrance is cool, but like from the time the spotlights come on and they pose, there's so much time between like them shaking their hands and waiting for their music to change, and then the music is a dirge, and then they walk to the ring slowly, and then they get in the ring and they pose again. So I just think that's just too much. I think they just need a different theme. They need a theme that hits the cues faster, because them coming in, it's like the Barker's still talking when you're reacting to them, and then there's so long of a wait before they even get to the ring. and that music isn't helping them at all. Like, it's better than having like the ragtime piano. Like, the dirge is better for them being heels, but they just need something else. That entrance isn't doing them any favors on the main roster, and because like everyone else on the main roster, it's like their music hits and you pop because their music is hitting and you recognize the music and it's exciting, and then they come out and do like one pose and then get on with it. But or they start off their entrance with a promo that you can react to, like the New Day, or Enzo and Cass. And I just, there's just something needs to change for the entrance for the main roster. I think that's being hurtful to them at this point.
It's weird that they would get all the way to the main roster without any changes to that. Alexa Bliss is someone whose entrance used to be like that, where there was just, she was doing too much. And it just took forever to get to the ring and then get into the ring. And then she would pose like on the outside of the ring, even though she had already gotten into the ring. And, they eventually figured it out with her music is better and it's a shorter entrance. And they gave her some things that are worth, paying attention to and popping over when you notice them. And, so it's just kind of weird that this wasn't solved beforehand. Because you said that they're just doing a lot, and people don't seem to know exactly how to react to it, because there's no like one big thing that makes it easy to pop for them. Right. But we talked about this last week. Do we really think they're going to stick around as a tag team for a long time either?
I seriously don't know. Like, I still don't know why they're on the main roster. Like, I'm happy. I'm really happy for them. But it's like, if there's anything, like Adam Rose, when Adam Rose happened, you thought that like, oh my God, like this seems like a no-brainer. And then you saw it on the main roster in the big arenas and you're like, oh, this is really geared to like a small, like to Full Sail. But like, if there's anything you could look at and be like, this doesn't work outside of this size of the room, you would think it would be Vaudevillains. But
yeah, it's weird. And I like both of those guys a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
But even at NXT, I was kind of like, okay, it's time for you guys to split. Like, I would like to see you wrestle each other, and then I would like to see you wrestle other people.
Yeah. Who knows, man? Who knows?
I mean, maybe this ends up, maybe they don't win the tag titles if they win the number one contender, and they have a big, violent and public split that launches both of them as singles competitors.
Maybe. So this Raw, of course, was pre-taped from London. If you wanted to, you could have seen the spoilers like 7 or 8 hours before Raw aired, at least on the West Coast. But it's always a little weird. I don't know what it is. Like, they don't really do a lot of tweaking to Raw, but it's always a little weird. And I don't know if it's just because it's pre-taped, so it psychologically feels weird. But it's always a little strange. And this Raw was especially weird because, like, it seemed like everybody on the whole show is flubbing their promos left and right. Like, even The Miz was, like, stumbling over words and stuff.
Yeah, I expect Shane to stumble over his words because that's pretty much what Shane does. His outside the ring work is not as good as his in-ring work. But yeah, it was weird to see The Miz mess something up. I mean, there were a couple of things where I thought it was intentional and playing into the whole like, oh, I'm going to do another take.
Yeah,
but
I did really like that though. Like, he was flubbing stuff and it was like, oh, this isn't good. This isn't very good at all. And then he was like, I'll do another take. And like him and Maurice interacting on like take 2, like that stuff was all fun. Like, I thought like he turned it around like really hard, but it's just weird. Like, everyone seemed a little bit disjointed.
It's that long flight over to Europe. Everyone's tired. A lot of house shows.
Yeah. It's true. Is there anything else we need to cover from Raw? I mean, that's pretty much, those are the big things that happened.
I feel like Shane McMahon needs to not be on television soon. And it's not a criticism of Shane. It just feels like why do you need to be there if you're the babyface GM? But I'm assuming that he's just on television until Stephanie and Triple H come back to try to get their power back somehow.
Right.
Which I assume does not work for them. But like once that's over, then Shane probably isn't on TV too much anymore because he doesn't really need to be. You don't need to be constantly reminded that he's there. But yeah, that's really the big takeaway for me.
Yeah. And
we're getting Natty Charlotte with Flair and Bret Hart on the outside.
Yep.
Again, that's pretty cool.
We saw it in NXT and it was good, and now we'll see it on the main roster and it'll probably be good as well.
Yeah, I mean Charlotte's so much better now than she was then too. So, not that she was bad then, but that was one of the first like, whoa, wow, Charlotte can wrestle moments.
Right.
And now it's all this time later and things are different and it looks pretty promising. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. The thing with Shane, at this point it doesn't look like it's leading to a brand split, which is a little bit of a bummer, but yeah, I mean it's just nice to not have evil authority figures. And it would be nice if the resolution of, when the authority finally comes back and then like leaves forever or whatever, it would be nice if the resolution of all this is just like Raw runs itself.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something great about at NXT when William Regal just shows up every now and then. Just to be like, hey, this is a match that's happening in an event like a month from now.
Right.
Or, you get the occasional backstage segment with him. But it's not coming out to the ring at the beginning of every show and talking or whatever, where he's just like, I'm going to do my job tonight and book some matches.
Yeah. And Titus O'Neil's suspension is almost up. He'll be back soon. And we'll see what happens with him. But let's talk about NXT.
Let's.
Great episode, 6 matches. Of course, the huge takeaway here is the NXT TV / WWE TV debut of Shinsuke Nakamura, and his match against Ty Dillinger was like the best thing ever.
Oh, it's so much fun. I like him not understanding Ty's taunt at all.
Asking
just
the
like
referee
needing the ref
for clarification.
It's like, what is this man doing to me right now? I don't understand.
That's sort of his thing, Nakamura.
He's gonna count to 10 in your face,
Yeah.
and you're just gonna have to deal with it, or kick him in the head.
The Nakamura is so great. This was actually the very last match that they taped at the set of the tapings. It was the very, very last thing that they taped after, like, at the end of, like, 3 hours of NXT. And I'm glad that they went with this. Shinsuke had another match earlier in the taping that I'm sure will air at a later date, but this is absolutely the right choice to use as his debut, because, both guys... It did nothing but favors for both guys. Ty Dillinger is just such a star and is so good at what he does, but Shinsuke Nakamura is like this undeniable, like, comet of just personality and ability, and it's just great.
Ty Dillinger might never win a match in WWE, and he will probably work for like 15 years.
Yeah, he's going to have a job for as long as he wants, and it's going to be great.
Because, man, he makes everyone look great. And, I mean, they are great, the people he's wrestling, but, like, he does not get in the way of their greatness ever. And he looks capable and competent and like a real threat in most of those matches, too. So he just never wins any of them.
Yeah. Also, he was wearing a Ty Dillinger shirt, and I can't wait until we can buy that Ty Dillinger shirt.
Oh, I already forgot what it looks like.
It just has a big tin. It says stuff, but I can't read it. But it has a big tin on the front. And also Ty Dillinger's promo where he gave Alex Reyes a 3.
Alex Reyes looks so sad.
Yeah.
Just so sad. Like he didn't even want to continue anything. Just kind of looking at the 3 like, oh.
Yeah, that was amazing. Everything about that was amazing. And then, like, right after that happened on Twitter, Alex Reyes tweeted at Tom Phillips and Corey Graves and said, "Hey, I earned that 3."
Oh man,
But just a good match, a lot of stuff to like get people after last week's like sort of recap, like previously on NXT episode. You've got just a ton of matches to get people like, hey, here's a bunch of new people, and here's the people that we're going to be focusing on from here on. Bayley had a really good promo. Liv Morgan has some new gear, which is definitely suits her better than that dumb like half jersey that she was wearing before. She's from Jersey too, so it's a little on the nose.
Yeah, it's a little too much.
But just a solid episode of NXT, and of course important for the Nakamura match. And if you haven't watched it yet, you should definitely go check it out because it's great. I'm really looking forward to when American audiences get familiar with Shinsuke's shaking boot to the face in the corner, because like he did it to Zayn at their Takeover match, and people didn't really know how to react to it, and then he did it to Dillinger, and people don't really know how to react to it. But it's fun, and I think it's going to be fun when people understand how to react to it. Finally,
just need exposure.
Yep, just like Enzo and Cass and everybody else.
Mm-hmm. It was weird to have 6 matches on an episode of NXT. Like, not a complaint or anything, but it was, usually they have the little, like, downbeats for story or whatever, or character progression, but this was just, like, match.
Yeah. Also, you had the really cool promo with Gable and Jordan looking at the empty TakeOver arena and then getting interrupted by Enzo and Cass, and then being like, hey, you know what? We've never fought each other. Let's do this. Let's just see how it goes.
Yeah, I like that it wasn't for the titles. It's really just like, hey, things have conspired to keep us from ever wrestling each other, and now we're going away. So
let's get in there and mix it up. That match is going to be a lot of fun. So looking forward to that too. So this week on NXT is going to be very fun as well. But last week, good step forward as far as like, hey, a bunch of people left, and now we're moving forward with what we're doing from now on. And the next takeover is actually in June, so it's coming up pretty soon, and I'm looking forward to it.
So June and then August, right?
Yep. So maybe they'll be doing every other month from now on, which I would welcome that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a few more. I mean, they definitely don't need to do every month. No, especially not with 1 hour.
Yeah.
Shows.
Plus, like they tape, a month at a time, so it's hard to build up to stuff.
Yeah. But even if they snuck 5 in instead of 4 over the course of the year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's probably what they'll do. As far as Lucha Underground, we saw maybe the best Lucha Underground Trios match of all time.
Wow. This medicine did a number on me.
Oh.
Remind me.
Oh,
yeah, no. Okay. So, yeah, Mysterio and Dragon Azteca with his, what is that DDT he does? I think someone said it was like the pizza DDT.
That's what I saw in Brandon Stroud's recap of it.
Oh, man, I just yelled in my living room.
That was crazy.
So amazing.
I just want to, every time Dragon Azteca's around, I just want to see him do more stuff. And I like that we're being like teased out and like he does like one crazy thing a match and it makes you want to see more of him. Like it's working.
Yeah, it's, like right away with Puma, they showed you so much of what he could do. Not all of it, but a ton of it. And that, made you interested in the program as a whole and in Puma. But like Azteca, they have the luxury of kind of slow burning it because they already got you.
Right.
And they've shown you like what he's capable of. And you're like, oh man, what if he's the best wrestler on the entire show? And you're going to keep coming back to see that and see if he actually is that good.
Yeah. I also really liked him being dragged around the ring, like physically dragged in a headlock by Brian Cage.
Speaking of Cage, one of the show's best moments was definitely Cueto interrupting his catchphrase. Just to be like, yeah, you're a machine. Okay. Get the look on Cage's face when he's just like, yeah, I am a machine. Yeah.
And then lion-ass Black Lotus was like, no, Matanza killed him. And Dragon Azteca's like immediately convinced. He's like, all right, now you keep an eye on him. Good. I'm glad we're on the same page here.
Oh, I'm really interested to see what happens.
Just the most gullible dude of all time.
Well, he was with her for
Right.
most of last season. I mean, not that we saw him,
Right.
but obviously he lived in the same building.
Yeah.
He just wants to believe. He just wants to believe Matanza's the problem.
Yeah. How do you feel about the new character for Killshot?
If Stryker and Vampiro remind me that he was in the military one more time, I'm probably going to lose my mind. But yeah, I don't mind it. He's a little more serious. There's potential to be kind of a heel here. He actually has direction besides just being Big Rick's friend. So that's good, and I'm kind of interested to see where they go with it. But I don't need Stryker to look at his camo and the bullseyes and the mannerisms and be like, "Do you think he was in the military?" Just 17 times per match.
Well, I mean, remember, Stryker and Vampiro in canon are not privy to the vignettes and the backstage stuff.
Oh, sure. It's just,
It's
man, you don't need, yeah, you don't need to ask that question that many times. Like,
well, at least he's kept up the gun puns too.
So what do you feel? Are you feeling Killshot's new thing, or?
I mean, it's interesting that they have someone that we've already seen for over a full season already, and now they give him a full backstory. Like, his backstory makes me a little bit uncomfortable because, like, everything we've seen to date is, like, people beating up, like, masked ninjas with nunchucks and stuff. And this was, like, a guy rescuing a squad of military, like, in the desert, literally shooting, like, turbaned terrorists in the face. Like, it was just weird. It was a weird, like, I guess, like, I appreciate the backstory, and I like that they're trying to make sure that every single character on Lucha Underground has, like, a full backstory. Like, I appreciate that, but it was just weird. Like, it seemed sort of at odds with the general Lucha Underground aesthetic that we've seen to this point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, everyone that we've seen so far is, like, they get attacked by, like, luchadors on motorcycles, you know, and now here's a guy who's in the desert in the Middle East, like, shooting people in the face and killing people. Like,
would you have felt better if the terrorists were wearing luchador masks?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I feel like these people aren't actually wearing luchador masks in any of these vignettes that we see.
Right.
It's just like the general representation of, like, oh, here's faceless person.
Right.
You make them faceless by putting the mask on.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. Like, it would have been a little less weird and also pretty funny.
Right, for
if
sure.
they put luchador masks on the terrorists.
Yeah.
Just to keep that vibe of, like, generic person in this world, like, through the lens of
Right.
lucha.
I mean, it also makes sense that they weren't luchadors because, like, they want to have him be an actual person who was in the actual military, like that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
he has an action story. Like, he's the protagonist of the action movie, and that's cool. Like, I appreciate that. It just, you know, given the state of the world and everything, like,
He should have kung fu'd the terrorists.
yeah,
Just,
exactly.
you know,
yeah.
slow motion chops and kicks.
Like, Killshot, like, oh no, that his name is a shoot, like, in several senses. Like, he really has killed a bunch of people. Like, don't worry about it. But yeah,
he thinks they were all bad guys.
yeah, it's true. He can't be sure. Maybe he's the monster. Speaking of the monster, next week we're going to get Matanza versus Mil Muertes.
My body is ready. I'm excited for that. I don't know how much damage Muertes can do to him. I don't know if he's going to have to do it himself, if Phoenix is going to come and help, you know, where all this is going, what crazy, horrible scheme Cueto might enact to make sure that Muertes doesn't win. There's a whole lot going on here, and I am ready for it.
Mm-hmm. It's just going to be a big beef main event.
Just giant slabs of meat hitting each other.
I'm interested to see whether Matanza is going to, like, manhandle and toss around Mil Muertes, because that would just be crazy.
Yeah, if he just wrecks Muertes, like
if he can even do Wrath of the Gods to him, that would be wild.
Yeah, who can even... Because then who can beat him at all?
It's crazy that that's such a wild move, just because it's just a power slam, but it's going the other way.
Yeah,
And
it just makes it look that much more...
It's so crazy. Like, because you know, you do a power slam towards the person's head because that's the short way to go. And Wrath of the Gods, you got to deal with their entire legs and everything. Like,
Yeah, it's doing the power slam, except it's not using any of their momentum
right,
to do it. So it's just like, by the way, I'm really strong.
right. Any further thoughts on Lucha Underground before we bring in Mandy Rose, who's our special guest this week?
No, let's bring in Mandy.
Sweet. I had the pleasure of interviewing Mandy Rose of Total Divas and of soon to be of NXT fame. So let's go ahead and get right to that.
Hi, Bill.
Hi, Mandy. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Let's go ahead and start at the beginning. You were the runner-up on Tough Enough, and you ended up on Total Divas. I want you to tell me how that all came about. Like, what was the timeline to go from Tough Enough to getting a developmental deal to being on E?
Sure. So obviously it was really crazy going from just being, tough enough and being a runner-up, not winning, but overall, winning in my eyes because I was obviously signed right after the finale of Tough Enough. So I was very grateful for that opportunity, and it was a little overwhelming at first because, they had told me that they want to sign me with a developmental contract with NXT right away and put me right on Total Divas. So right in the beginning, it was more of a shock that I was getting both these amazing opportunities. So for me, it was balancing my time, making sure I get enough time in the ring and with the traveling that Total Divas and, traveling on the road with the main roster. So there was a big split there, but it was, overall an amazing experience for me.
So that all happened at the same time, like they presented you with the developmental deal and the offer to be on Total Divas?
Yes, at the same time.
Well, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was really crazy. I was taken back definitely at first because, I was really happy that I had gotten signed, and then right after that, them telling me, and they also want to, put me on Total Divas, I was like, whoa, this is pretty surprising, but it was awesome.
So how did that work with splitting your time between the Performance Center and the main roster? Like, what was your schedule like on a given week?
It was pretty crazy. Right in the beginning, I was flying back to New York, back home for a little bit, and they ended up wanting to get me right back to go meet, surprise all the girls for the, like the second episode when we were filming. So, right away, everything I kind of packed a big suitcase because I didn't know how long I'd be gone away from home at this point because I had not, I wasn't settled in a place yet in Florida. So that was really crazy. I had just, was living out of a suitcase from like September to November when I ended up getting a place finally in Florida. So right off the bat, it was just a lot of traveling, obviously to TVs and on the road, and we went, Paris and all these amazing places. So it was a lot of traveling. And then when I would get home, I tried to get as much training in as I could in Florida, but it was really tough. So, I started getting like full-time training like Monday through Friday, starting in November when I got settled in my apartment and everything in Florida.
Cool. So since you went basically from one show to the other, was it a weird transition to go from like a competition reality show to like a reality show?
Yeah, definitely, because both shows were reality shows, but they're very different in a sense that now this is, I'm with the company, I'm with the WWE, and now I'm making a name for myself and a whole brand. And Tough Enough reality show is a competition, and we were all from different backgrounds, and now I'm on a show with women that have been in this company for a long time, veterans, and I really wanted to fit in, and I really wanted to not only impress these girls, but also show these girls that I really that I truly belong here. So it was way different. Total Divas made me able to show my my more of my real side, and kind of get to know the girls more and have the girls get to know me, of course. So it was very different.
The early goings of season 5 of Total Divas it seemed like you were going to be brought in to sort of shake things up and make people upset and resentful, sort of like what Eva Marie did in the first season. But by the end of the season, it just sort of you just sort of got revealed as just like a totally normal person, maybe even especially compared to like the other cast members of Total Divas. Was that difficult to? Was there any like standoffishness or resentment from the main roster with you going on tour with them right away?
Yeah, I mean, I think like in general, how any person, men and women feel the same way. It's a little more of a threat when someone new comes on, and especially with, the opportunity I was given, it was, I'm sure it's definitely a threat to many of the girls, but, yeah, it was kind of interesting because right when I, got thrown in, I kind of thought that I would be maybe more, treated, maybe with a little more, the girls not being as nice or, jealous and whatnot, but it ended up not working out really like that. I kind of ended up like fitting in really well with the girls, and we kind of like all got along, and at the end of the day, everyone's like a big family, within the whole company. So I think there's it's fights, and we can fight like sisters and all that, but at the end of the day, I ended up fitting in, and I really didn't cause, that much drama and stuff like that. I mean, there's always little things here and there, but, it was kind of, it was shocking to me too that I ended up, not shocking that I fit in so well with the girls, but just that, they were all pretty nice to me from the start. So
now you were paired up with Eva Marie a lot on this season of Total Divas. How do you think, or why do you think that your experience was so much different from hers?
I think we hit it off in the start. I think also because we trained trained a little bit at the Performance Center. Our schedules were a little bit more similar than the other girls. We'd fly back to Orlando together a couple times, but I think our experience is a little different because it's definitely similar where she got thrown into Total Divas from the get go, but I really wanted to get my training in and really focus on training in the ring more than just getting onto a reality show. Don't get me wrong, it's an amazing opportunity, Total Divas, and I couldn't ask for a better one. But I was told and by the higher ups, and I myself wanted to get the training in first, obviously too, to have my career be long lasting and get to the main roster even faster. So I think our experience is a little bit different in that sense, but we definitely hit it off in the beginning because she kind of understood, where when she first started, the kind of, the rep that she got, and she kind of had a feeling that I would get the same. So that was nice of her to kind of, bring me in like that. So.
Mm-hmm. And you have already made your in-ring debut. You've been working NXT live events. How has that NXT experience in the Performance Center, how has that been?
It's been awesome. Since I've been training, beginning of November, I've been getting a lot of training at the Performance Center, and it's kind of been just like I've been really improving at a fast pace, which is awesome. I didn't think that I'd be in live events and having like title. I had a title match against Bailey in Orlando a couple weeks ago before Mania, and it's been awesome. Like, I'm improving every day, and it just makes me, even more hungry to get even better so I can make it up to the main roster.
I saw you at the NXT tapings at WrestleMania Access. Do you think that you might be debuting on NXT sooner rather than later?
I hope so. It's always you never know with the timing, and now that there's a bunch of new girls that just got signed, and we're considered really not the new girls anymore, which is good for us. I'm hoping that I think it'll be sooner than later. So yeah, hopefully.
So the first time I talked to you, it was at SummerSlam weekend in Brooklyn, and now you've just been through your first WrestleMania weekend. You worked Access, you did signing sessions. What was that whole experience like?
That was awesome. Being able to just go to WrestleMania and being so new was just an amazing experience. Meeting all the fans, like Access, was so cool. I had a couple signings, and just performing in front of the fans at Access was just awesome. And just to experience the whole thing from the whole week basically was just, it was amazing. I didn't think that, I'd be at WrestleMania this soon, because normally, you put some time in, and, by next year I would be there, but it was really cool. I got to experience that.
How have your interactions with WWE fans been so far?
They've been really good, actually. Enough, I was kind of portrayed as, not the best character, I would say. Fans kind of looked at me like, I guess I didn't relate to many people when I was on that show. So now I'm able to show the real side of Mandy, and and I think since then I've been really connecting and relating to my fans a lot, especially with Total Divas and all, and seeing more of my personal life outside of WWE. So it's been really awesome, and of course I always love to stay connected with my fans on social media. So.
There is that great scene in Total Divas when Eva Marie has a fan come up to her in a restaurant and doesn't really acknowledge you.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's not really going to be happening too much longer. Like, you're going to start being that person. Is that something that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, totally. I always joke around when I'm with, the other girls that obviously have more of a popularity and fan base than me. I'm always, I'll be in the background. But now, since I've been noticing, I've been getting a lot more people obviously recognizing me just, on the streets, here in Florida. And I went back home to New York last week for, 2 days. And it was, especially in my hometown, everyone went crazy because my whole family and everyone. So it's definitely, my time now.
That's awesome. I've encountered a lot of Total Divas fans who have gotten into WWE just because of the show. Do you notice a difference in the two types of fans, the WWE fan versus the Total Divas fan, or is there a lot of overlap?
I would say there's a lot of overlap, but I would definitely say that there's a lot of people that follow Total Divas that, don't even follow WWE. And I think just from hearing, just a lot of people, I've encountered a lot of mothers and young girls too, or just people that don't even follow WWE, but they happen to have been watching. They've been watching Total Divas for a couple of years now. It's already season 5, so I would say definitely both. But there's a huge audience outside of the WWE that watch Total Divas.
Who would you say is more passionate, the Total Divas fan or the WWE fan?
I'd go with the WWE fans. I don't think you can get more passionate than WWE fans. They're the most passionate. That's actually funny you say that, because I was talking with someone and we were talking about football fans and sports, other sports, and I haven't experienced anything like this. Coming from the fitness world too, I was such a huge inspiration in that world, but. Now, some of the young girls I run into, I just ran into one over the weekend who literally started crying, and I ended up reposting what she wrote, because she just wrote this really amazing thing, and I was telling my mom, I was I've never experienced fans that are this passionate about this sport, so it's crazy.
That's great. Now I have to ask, there have been reports coming out that Total Divas is going to be going through a cast change next season. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Unfortunately, nothing is out there that's definite. All I know is, for me, is that I'm focusing so much right now on my training and stuff at the Performance Center that's my main thing right now. But I don't know anything else when it comes to that. There's always changes with the cast and all.
But you're putting most of your focus and energy right now in just having your WWE career.
Yeah, exactly. Most of my focus right now is my training and getting on TV, in the ring. So,
what has been your favorite moment or part of Total Divas so far, or your favorite episode?
My favorite moment, besides just kind of hanging out with all the girls and the fact that we can all get along, and at the end of the day, there's always drama that happens, but at the end of the day, we are all family. That's definitely one of the nicest things, and probably being able to go on vacation with my family. Mm-hmm. I don't think we probably would have never been on vacation, all of us, if it wasn't for this, me being like, no, you guys all have to come, kind of forcing them. And I think that whole weekend with Maddie's family was just awesome. It was really cool to experience that, like, my family being like always obsessed with the Neidharts, and then we go on vacation with them, which is kind of crazy. So that was definitely a memorable time.
That was definitely a very fun episode.
Yeah.
most of your on-screen interactions on Total Divas have been either with Eva Marie or with Natalia, because she's been helping you with your training, and you went on vacation with her and everything. But who would you say from the cast you became really good friends with as a result of this? Or even on the main roster. It doesn't necessarily have to be part of Total Divas.
Yeah. I'd say probably Natalia the most. I think just because she's been such a good role model and like good friend to me. Besides her helping me training. Just when I see her at shows, I saw her at Access for a little bit. She always manages, because she's always in a rush to see people, and she's always got so much things going on. But she always manages to stop and talk to me and ask, like, "Oh, how's everything going?" And then she's like running out the door, but she always manages to ask, and even like she'll text me here and there a lot, which is nice. So I definitely say Natalia. I've probably got the closest with. The other one, surprisingly, which is funny, from Tough Enough, we didn't get along that well, but Paige and I actually get along now, and I don't want to give out any clues as to the finale and all that, but Paige has been there for me too, which is nice.
That's really great. If you had to pick anyone from either the WWE roster or the NXT roster to wrestle at an NXT takeover, who would you pick?
And you said any of the girls or NXT?
Yeah, any of the women from either WWE or NXT.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. I'm trying to think. Probably Sasha Banks, because through Bailey, I've heard that she's amazing to work with, and just because she's so good at what she does, I think that would be obviously a really awesome match that I could have, be an honor to work with her. So I'd go with Sasha Banks.
I'm sure people will be really happy to hear that answer.
Yeah.
In NXT right now, is Bailey the locker room leader? Is she like the person that the women go to for advice and support?
Yeah, definitely. Bailey is definitely the leader of the group, and she is definitely someone you can go to, talk to, if you need anything, advice, and she just definitely has that aura about her that you can go to her for anything, and she's been really helpful with me, especially the last few months with everything. So yeah, I would definitely say so.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking the time. It was great to talk to you, and we look forward to seeing a lot more Mandy Rose soon.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Have a great day. We'd like to once again thank Mandy Rose, Total Divas, and WWE for letting Mandy join us. It was a lot of fun to talk to her, and we're going to move into what I'm going to say, Mark, is by far the biggest news of the entire week. Total Divas is getting a spin-off show called Total Bellas, and it is going to just focus on Nikki and John, Brie and Brian, John Laurinaitis and Nikki and Brie's mom, and JJ, Nikki and Brie's brother and his wife. And boy, what a stacked cast for a reality show. Like, there is more than enough stuff going on with just these 8 people to warrant a spinoff. And this is going to start in the fall. The season finale of Total Divas airs this week. It's going to have dropped by the time that this episode drops. So sad to see Total Divas go. Very happy I don't have to wait like a whole year for more Total Divas. Now I get, hopefully, ideally, I get 2 full total blank shows
Are they going to be happening at the same time, or are they going to stagger them?
I can't imagine they're going to happen at the same time. I imagine it'll be like Total Bellas in the fall, Total Divas in the spring.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
or total whatever they end up calling Total Divas. I'm like it'll probably just stay Total Divas. Like it's the name of a television show. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, as long as it's not. I think they're mostly concerned about just getting it out of the core WWE programming. So keeping the word divas in a show that's already established, that is now big enough to get its own spin-off.
Yeah, definitely. But I the only question I have is whether the Total Bellas, it will probably, I don't know if they're going to focus on like Bree's retirement storyline and Brian's retirement storyline in Total Bellas, or if they're going to save that for Total Divas Season 6. But either way, I'm all in. I'm excited. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's yet another thing that I will be watching. So, because I really like Total Divas. I mean, you are the Total Divas guy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I watch it. I mean, I'm a couple episodes behind it, so I'm not quite as dedicated as you. But I'm also not writing recaps for it. So
that's true. You're not. Sadly.
Are you excited to write Total Bellas recaps as well?
Oh, I was so excited. You don't even know. I wish, like, it's a bummer that it takes me so long to write the recaps because I got to get the screen caps and do all the other stuff. But that's the only negative about, like, I love doing it and I love talking about it. So, yeah, I'll write about, like, like I said, I wish Total Divas was 3 hours and was on every week and, switch places with Raw for once.
I feel like you've convinced many people to start watching Total Divas, just with the
I definitely have, and
sheer effusiveness of
very proud of that. And
it's fun,
and almost overwhelmingly, like everyone who has started watching it because of me, they're like, "Yep, it's great. You're right. I can't stop watching it."
It's just chaos, and it's just perfect reality chaos. And I actually like the people involved, which is one of my huge problems with reality shows. Is most of the time I'm like, who am I supposed to be rooting for? Why am I supposed to care about any of these people? But they've done a really good job, especially after season 1, I feel like, where they stopped trying to make such clear like enemies happen in the show. Mm-hmm. Of making it like, here are a bunch of people you care about and the things that they're doing with their lives.
Yeah, for sure. And I also like, as we talked about with Mandy, like I like that they brought in her to sort of like be like, oh, she's the new girl, everyone's gonna hate her, and then she just ended up being super normal and like likable, and everyone got along with her. It was fun.
Yeah, it seemed like they were kind of teasing like, oh, she's getting to be friends with Eva, that's gonna tank her friendship with everyone, and then it was like, no, everyone gets along fine.
Yeah, everything's good. There's one last bit of news this week. TNA is reportedly in desperate need of either being sold or getting a serious partner / investor. And there are at most recent reporting at the time that we're recording this, they have 3 potential investors, most of which are associated with people who have been in the wrestling business before. One of them is a marketing company that is some of the higher ups in the marketing company are the Harris brothers, who have worked for both WWE and TNA in the past, and WCW. So that's one potential buyer. Dixie Carter is still working very hard to retain 51% majority. Some of the investors are not interested in buying unless they can become the majority owners. So we're going to see how this shakes out. But according to Mike Johnson and Ryan Satin and Dave Meltzer and everyone else who has been covering this, TNA needs to get sold sooner rather than later. And if they don't get sold, like, this is it. But they will get sold. There are interested parties. It's just a question of like who's going to hash out the deal and what they're going to hash out and what it's going to look like when it's done.
It's all so strange to have it finally coming to a head. Because it feels like the TNA is like on its last lifeline thing, has been going on for
10 years.
Like the entirety of me coming back to wrestling and caring about wrestling and watching it all the time again, it's been like TNA's on death's door.
Right.
And, they got one way or another, they added young talent, they cut costs, they, found new TV deals, multiple TV deals. And something's just kind of pushed them along. But this is like the first time where it's been like, oh no, if they don't do something, it's over.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see what happens if the company changes much. When if there are new owners, what I have no clue, and I don't even want to guess about like what goes on.
Some people have suggested that if they get sold, they should change the name to sort of remove, like, distance themselves from like whatever stigma they might have. What do you think of that?
Yeah, can it hurt? They've already tried a rebranding by becoming Impact. But yeah, I guess getting away from the TNA moniker completely.
Because it's not like, because the people who already watch are going to be able to find it.
Yeah, I guess you're not going to lose anyone. There's only the potential to add people. I can't imagine someone who was stuck with TNA through all the various bullshit that has happened in TNA for years is going to finally be like, you know what? They changed the name, and now this is the thing.
What about my TNA tattoo?
Well, now it's vintage.
Yeah.
So
now you'll always remember. You can get the dates of birth and death next to the TNA tattoo.
So yeah, it can't hurt, right? Might as well.
Yeah.
Just feel like there's so much going on with that TNA name, and everyone just, there's whole memes dedicated to laughing at TNA. So make them all invalid. Make them all dated.
Good plan. Mark, what should people write for a review this week if they enjoy the show on iTunes?
Oh boy. I didn't come prepared today. This podcast would be better with an on-screen authority figure.
Okay. So if you enjoy this podcast and you want to help us out, go to iTunes, rate, review, and subscribe. And if you don't even have to think of a review now, because you can just go to the extended show notes at CageSideSeats.com or SoundCloud or wherever you're listening to this, and just copy in the final show note here. This podcast would be better with an on-screen authority figure. Leave that as your review, and give us whatever star rating you want. Thanks for doing that for us. Thanks again to Mandy Rose for joining us. Until next week, you can email us at rutoradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can find our stuff at CageSideSeats.com, SBNation.com/wrestling. If you want to check out Mark's baseball coverage, SBNation.com/MLB, or overthemonster.com. Mark, where can they find you on Twitter?
Mark_Normandin.
And I'm at Sundown Motel on Twitter. And thanks again for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.